All right, let's go. How's everybody doing on this fantastic Thursday morning? Today is April the 2nd. We have a brand new quarterly candle starting. Actually, it started yesterday. But as you can see, once again, coming to you live publicly, Bitcoin is not trending. It does look like it's trying to now, but unfortunately, it's going the wrong way. Everybody wants Bitcoin to be bullish. Most everybody is bearish. Bitcoin is dropped back down to the bottom side of the weekly range. Here is your weekly candle pretty much. You can see that it has been bullish for the majority of the week. Yesterday, Trump came out and did a live speech talking about what's going on over there in the Middle East, and the market sold off, almost tanked. This week, or Tuesday, when we did the live stream, we were short oil. We were looking for oil to roll over. We took the position. We sat through the strain almost 4 hours, and oil did absolutely nothing. In fact, I believe it was literally like 10 minutes after I got off the stream. We sat through all of this. That happened. And then that happened the next day. So it was a good short. Hopefully some of you all were able to catch it. Last night, you can see obviously big spike here, taking it right back up to pretty close to the same area that I was looking for the short. We were short in here, so you most likely got stopped out this morning. Hopefully you took profits on that move yesterday. But nevertheless, we're back into resistance here. And something interesting started to happen around the London session. As you can see, that's 2 o'clock in the morning for me. You could see that the massive selling pressure showed back up, even though price did not agree with that sentiment. And so far, the bulls have been able to hold it here and prop it up as it's been continuing to trend higher. So essentially, if we see heavy sell side pressure start to come back in, I do want to be short here at one of these two levels. So I am going to be looking to put on another short. Now, this is like, I don't have high conviction that a short is going to work. Obviously, it's extremely bullish here. I just think that the volatility is up so much. You're going to see chaotic moves in both directions, and since the last move was a chaotic move to the upside, we may see another chaotic move to the downside. So I'm more than okay with taking that trade based on that alone. The simple fact that we're positive here on deltas, even though it was negative, isn't enough to get me liking this. You can see a lot of volume showed up right here at about 107.53 this morning. And I'm assuming those traders were putting on that short there, anticipating that Tuesday's point of control might act as some kind of resistance. So I am good with the fact that it broke out. So like, if you put a box around that price action right here, around this point of control, this red line, you can see right here was the breakout. So anybody that shorted here at this resistance was stopped out. And then if they put shorts on again, most likely they were stopped out again. So now that that's happened, I can come in here and put on a short and be more than okay with eating a stop. It was a fantastic trade. And I mean, we've been pretty much all over the markets all week. So, I mean, we're good to go here. I'm going to look to put that trade on. If you want to look to do the same thing, the last price that I'm interested in shorting is 109.89. That's right here, this second line. And the reason for that is because if price is trading above this line, then it's probably going to the high week close. The high week close sits way up there at around 111.90. So I don't need to hold a short if price is trading in anywhere in this black space, is basically what I'm saying. So we're at a point on the chart that it makes perfect sense to be, or at least an easy trade to take, right? It's so simple. I can mitigate my risk via this line. If price is above it, I'm not short. Bitcoin, on the other hand, there isn't a short right here, obviously. Going into the New York session, there is no way I'd be looking to put a fresh short on down here because you're into many levels of support. You've got the weekly low, you've got weekly support. The weekly low comes in, I was thinking it comes in right under weekly support, but it's actually above. That is your weekly low right there. Yeah, that's your open. Okay, so yeah, that's your weekly low right there. I thought the weekly low was just under weekly support. But anyway, weekly support's down here. Your weekly low's down here. Your March opens down here. You just got a lot of stuff down here. We go out to the daily time frame briefly and take a look at what this thing is actually doing. You can see that we've broken down out of the bottom side of the bear flag line. Now it's just a trend line. We've spent, this was the first day, so day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days trending sideways since the breakdown. I'm getting a lot of vibes from this over here. It's the exact same thing that played out over here. You broke down and then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days of sideways price action before ultimately it broke down and then you got a trending move out of it. So doing the exact same thing here. That's why I'm kind of not expecting the breakdown. I was kind of expecting the opposite thing to take place, but we'll see what happens. I'm short from up here on Bitcoin. We took that short last week. I'm still holding it and I'm going to hold it. There's no point in closing it. I haven't seen anything to cause me to even want to close that position. The daily 21 exponential moving average is adjusted or set at yesterday's close. So right here is where that is. Basically, you traded up into it yesterday. You traded up into March's VWAP. It is April, so March's VWAP is no longer relevant. I just left it up there because it was up there, I guess. I'm going to delete it because I think the 21 is a more sufficient level to be paying attention to than last month's VWAP. However, I mean, both these levels is literally what caught price action yesterday. We never want to look to get long into a resistance level, just like we don't want to short into support. Though there really isn't a trade to take here. Not today on Bitcoin, in my opinion. Now, obviously, if you get a really nasty down day, like if oil breaks out to the upside here and, gets up into that high week close, then obviously Bitcoin could put in a much lower move and you could see it get down to as low as Sunday's low. So, I mean, it is possible. It's not something that I do. It's not something that we do here in this community. But anyways, another thing that I was looking at this morning for a trade is going to be here on Apple. You've got your last week's open right here. So if we can get a spike on Apple, right, as long as oil isn't tanking, then I will put a short on Apple. If we go look at Apple on the daily time frame, it's it's at a level, right? You're literally trading down under yesterday's low. So anybody that got long yesterday in Apple is stuck. Anybody that bought call options or anybody, if you bought shares, you might not be stuck. Your broker might allow you to trade pre-market, but options are not traded until the market opens. So anybody that bought call options at all yesterday, they are literally stuck. And then anybody that sold put options below yesterday's low, they're stuck until the bell opens. So we might see a volatile spike on the bell, as we generally do. But I think it's going to be driven ultimately by oil. So if oil rolls over, I won't love the short thesis on Apple, right? They do not trade together. They're not correlated in any way. It's just right now, oil is the narrative that is driving order flow throughout the entire market. Your dollar is right back up. It's up to an area that would be interesting to look for shorts, right? So the trend that started the week could still be in motion here, even though it was a volatile spike. This is a reason why I'm looking for the oil short, because it doesn't look like a short, but the dollar does. The dollar looks like an absolute perfect short trade. If you were to, I don't know, say fib the week high down to the week low, you can see that you're trading in between the 618 and the 786. So yeah, this is the last area for sellers to show up. The dollar breaks out above the 786. It's probably looking to make a fresh weekly high. So the trade ideas for today: short oil, short Apple. And obviously, one will get stopped out. You will not, I don't think the short Apple and the short oil trade will work. One of them will work. And that's the thing. That's what I'm looking to do today. I don't see any trades anywhere else. I took a short on silver yesterday. And the reason I'm laughing is because it worked. It was a beautiful trade. But I'm going to take you up here briefly so you can see what I did. Is absolute rookie mistake. Yeah, I made $49 on that trade. You can see where my short was. It's a beautiful entry. Silver at this wick low is down 8%. This was a clean $600-700 winner, and I made $40 on it because I didn't have any leverage on. And I didn't know that, and I should have known that when I put my stop loss on. That is way too wide, first of all. Second of all, it's not $30 would have been lost. So, I mean, I should have realized right then and there that in order just to make $24, price would have had to break under 74. Rookie mistake. I just was not paying attention to my leverage. I actually thought that was the leverage. And this morning I woke up and I'm like, cool, we can add another $600 to the weekly P&L. Not bad, not bad. And I'm like, what is going on? Am I in a small position? No. Position size is good. Yeah, just I do not know why I would have done that. That's why I didn't notice it. But anyway, that's a bust. That's a nothing burger. So here are the current open positions. Naturally, oil is trading into that level right now, so I definitely want to have a position on. However, I do not. I only have the positions here, the short on Bitcoin and this one. I do not have the short on Apple yet. So I am looking to put that on if it will give me a fill. It's very hard to get filled. And that right there would have been the entry, to be honest with you. I did not see that, as that was probably when I did a little bit of working out. Right before I went live, I had to do a little bit of exercises, and that's where I would have been wanting to get filled. So I'm going to go ahead and set a limit up there for fill. Let me check the leverage. Make sure the leverage is good here. Yeah, leverage is good. All right, so I'm going to set a limit sell at 254.45 on Apple. I could hypothetically sell this old support instead. That is also the 200 exponential. So maybe let's do that. Because I can take a $30 loss if it pushes on above and then pushes up into here. I could eat that $30 loss and then reposition higher if oil is moving up, right? If oil is tanking, then I don't want to get in higher because Apple could come right back up to 4-hour res. Anyway, the reason for the short is a technical trade here. You're above the 50, so the bulls still have momentum on the near term, but your 200 is right here. And if you see, the bulls were not able to get the breakout trend move to the upside. So whenever that happens, we look at this entire range right here as a bull trap. Okay, so now that we're breaking back down it looks like the sellers, there's more selling pressure going in up here above the 200 exponential on the 4 hour than there was buying. So that's why we want to take a short. That's the that's the reasoning behind it. The technical setup, I'm going to put it at 254. I'll just put it at 254.20. Screw it. 254.20. That's what I'm going to do here. All right, and then that's going to be a full size position. I'm going to sell 80 contracts. All right, so that's that. On the bell, we should get a fill there. And yeah, that's what I'm looking at today. Those are the setups that I'm interested in. So yeah, we'll watch Bitcoin. We'll keep an eye on it. As long as we're below the MSTR cost basis, the squeeze is not over. The short squeeze, and the long squeeze. And yeah, that looks to be exactly what's playing out here. And it is a little bit dangerous to be a buyer of Bitcoin while this squeeze is taking place. Michael Saylor has said publicly that he will not sell Bitcoin ever, but the CEO or whatever the other guy is, I don't know his title, CEO, CFO, whatever, he said that they would sell. So those are two conflicting things right there. And if MicroStrategy were forced to sell, I'm not thinking that they would, right? I think they could handle a move down to like 45 or even 30K. I'm just simply stating that, we have broken down out of the bear flag. So whether you're bullish or bearish, it doesn't matter. Price is literally telling you that the risk is to the downside here, not to the upside. As long as you're above that bear flag trend line, then you can argue that the risk is to the upside. But when you're under it, the risk is clearly lower. So we have to look at it in terms of what it's doing. We have to respect price. We take a no BS, price is king approach to these markets. And that's why we're usually doing okay, or we're on the right side the majority of the time, or at least over half the time. And that's all we need to be successful in this business. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if weekly support can hold today. You do have a little bit of pressure actually happening right now, a little bit before the bell. We've got a good 15 minutes until the bell. So I'm glad that I got all that discussed and out of the way. S&P 500 also gapping down here today. So I love the S&P as long as it's under 650. I have a spread at 650 and 635 in options. It's just a spread trade. I put that trade on back in October. I've been in it for a very long time, but I still have almost 300 days on it because I put it out for over a year. I didn't know how long it would take for it to break down. I didn't know if it would break down. It was just a risk mitigation play. I definitely wanted to protect my upside by, getting long puts on the SPY. So we'll see what happens with that long term. And the Nvidia put that Michael Burry has on down there at 50, that trade is still nowhere near the money. I don't think that trade will pay out. I mean, you would have to see a nasty breakdown on Nvidia. Massive breakdown. Because that trade he bought $50 strike puts. Now, with that being said, he bought them a year out, and he wouldn't need a move down to 50. Let's be clear. To get profitable on that position, he just needs a big breakdown. And it needs to happen quickly. But there's still plenty of time on it as well. In fact, you can still put that Nvidia trade on. The same trade that he has on is 288 days out. So right here is that position. You can see here, you can actually put that trade on for $38 if you buy one contract. I mean, almost anybody can afford to lose $38. And if it does get a big breakdown, you could potentially sell it for a couple bucks. I don't think it will go in the money though. Yeah, 288 days left on this, so you do have plenty of time. But yeah, things are not looking good as we're in Q2. So we'll see what happens. All right, oil has moved up. Let's go take a look at it real quick, as this will be, we want to see, does this thing close above again? If it does, we're going to wait until we get the next candle. Because if the next candle trends above this current candle's high, we're not going to put that trade on. So I don't want to get chopped up here. But at the same time, I do not want to get left behind either, if it does roll over. Because when oil moves, it moves very rapidly. It does a lot of chopping, but you can see here, it can get going pretty quickly and you can get left out. As I don't want to ever chase a trade. Not if I don't have to. All right, so we got the limit out on Apple. We're going to keep an eye. And I do like this delta right here. I do like that. You can see also point of control is at near the top of the daily range. That's also good. We just need to make sure we don't get chopped up, as it does build in a bull trap. If it is a trap, we don't know if it is a trap. That's why if it starts to trend up at day highs, we don't keep putting the trade on. We don't want to get chopped up. It's okay if we miss it. It's okay if we miss it. It's fine, but all right. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic week. Hood mornings, says Tom. Pretty sure he meant good morning. Good morning, Janet. Salutations to the best. BTWSL. Thank you, my friend. Please check night USDT. I'm looking at the supply on the 4-hour for an entry to the downside. Night USDT. Let's do it over here. All right. There is no K. All right. I'm going to look at it on Binance for you real quick. And you specifically said you're looking at a 4-hour supply candle. So I will break down. The monthly looks okay. I don't really like... yeah, it's pretty sideways here. Yeah, you're trading under the weekly open, so clearly you definitely want to see that continue. Let's go check out your 4-hour supply. So that's going to put you at roughly right at that weekly open. Yeah, I don't mind the setup. I think it's okay. I like it. Yeah, I like your deltas. I like where your POC is. I like where your head is. You're short right at 4-hour supply. That's going to be right here. I would have liked to have seen this close be under the low of your supply candle, but it doesn't matter. It is still a valid supply zone. It's a close above resistance. Check. It broke out above the prior day's high. Check. It's not a yep, it is a liquidation even. So that's a check. You have all the right checks in all the right places for it to be classified as a supply candle. Your entry is spot on, as you did get a wick up into it. So beautiful, beautiful trading, bro. Yeah, the unfortunate scenario or the unfortunate part about it is you're right now making fresh day lows. That's a good thing for you, as that's what you were looking for. My concern would be it can bounce here, as this is your last liquidation point. It's only a 4-hour liquidation. It's not a major level. It's not a daily or a weekly level, is all I mean by that. It's an intraday level. But nonetheless, that's where most of your buying stop losses are going to be for anybody that missed this move right here. They would have tried to jump in on this pullback. So those people are getting stopped out right now. So what you want to see is continuation under, because it could stall out here. You did make a higher daily high today, and for the last 3 days in a row, you have been making higher daily lows. Boom, boom, boom. So this could still very much head to the upside. Keep an eye on deltas. If at any point you start to see it like get back above the positive or the neutral line here in a positive direction, you might want to think about taking profits or sizing down slightly. If Bitcoin rolls over today and has a really nasty down day, that could also help put pressure on this. This is not trading with Bitcoin as of right now, so it might not help either. But it would just be another thing. I like it. I like the setup. I do. You're under the weekly open, and for me, that's good enough to get short. If we put this, let's go ahead and just check the weekly VWAP. You're also into that as potential support. So yeah, if you break down, I would be comfortable with holding it for a little bit more to try to get a little bit more out of it. But I don't know where your stop is, so I don't know where your take profit would be. I wouldn't have my take profit all the way down there. I don't think, I think it would be a risky endeavor, but it's moving. It's sideways, but the ranges are large. Let's see what percentages this thing is moving. Oh yeah, this thing is cooking with grease. Hey, technically, you could take profits already if you're positioned correctly. Yeah, I like it. It's good looking setup, good looking trade. I think the most concerning thing for this setup is you need to make that lower daily low at some point, whether it's today or tomorrow. But yeah, if you stay above yesterday's midpoint, that would be another thing that you could potentially look to mitigate some of the losses if you don't eventually break down under today's midpoint or yesterday's midpoint today. So I would need to see that. But yeah, I mean, it could be looking for that breakout. You got sort of something like this happening right now. You're wedging up, and wedges can break in either direction. Wedges can break in either direction. So I would definitely want to see heavier sell side deltas. Good morning. Would you enter TAO here? Well, you know I wouldn't, because you know that I do not like it. It doesn't have enough liquidity for me. I do not like trading illiquid assets. I do not like trading something that gaps on 4-hour candles. This thing is so bad, it gaps on 5-minute candles. It's a 15-minute chart, and it looks like an intraday pre-market Apple chart. You got dots and dashes literally on a 15-minute candlestick chart. There's no liquidity here. Massive volume thrown down here. Now, I would assume these are buyers, or since it is mostly buying orders, it's just a lot of stops. Right? This, as it broke down through here, I don't know why anybody would have had their stop there specifically. Yeah, I see no reason for that. So I would assume someone's buying this low, anticipating that it's going higher. But I mean, it hasn't been for the last 3 days in a row. So what did you ask specifically? Would I enter it here? So are you assuming that I would be a buyer? I wouldn't. No. You've done way more than liquidated everybody that needed to be liquidated. This looks like downside continuation. You do have volume building up, so there could be a potential buyer here. This should have held yesterday. It should have held up here. It should have built in a higher low, not a lower low. So today you have a lower high. Now you have a fresh multi-day low. It is literally at this point trending down. We do not buy assets that are trending down because it's like trying to catch a falling knife. If it builds in support here for a couple of days, maybe then I'd be interested in it, but yeah, nah, I don't like it. I don't like it. I would have only wanted to see a wick below there. And you did get that right here. So you got the stop run or the liquidation with this wick low. So that should have been it to the downside. The fact that you made a lower low suggests it wants to head lower. I can't predict what price will do, so if you do buy it and it works out, good. But I wouldn't. No, I would not be a buyer here. It's not the same kind of thing. Like, it's not the same thing. Now, I haven't looked at the daily chart or anything like that. I gotta find it. There it is. So bulls are still in control of your daily chart. So, I mean, it could find support. Yeah, this is the only way I could be a buyer here is if it ends up becoming a trap in the future. It's too early to tell if that's going to happen. Don't like it. I mean, you ask about this one all the time, so obviously you love it. I don't know what it is or what it does. It obviously has value. I should put it on. The Coinbase chart looks much better, though. Yeah, the Coinbase chart does look way better in terms of gaps and spotty volumes. So this is a much better. I'm going to change this. I'm going to delete that and then add this one. There we go. But the analysis is going to be the same, right? This is a breakdown. You're breaking down after a breakout. You put a trend line on there, you're breaking out yesterday of that trend line. Today, to be not only back under the trend line and making fresh lows, suggests that there was more selling up here than buying. You're just going to have to wait for it to find support, my friend. There may be a support in this area. Bitcoin has support in this area. Let's go see if it does. It has an old weekly swing high. It's roughly around last week's midpoint. Oh no, you're well under last week's midpoint, so never mind. Yeah, you're under the weekly open. As long as you're above this, it could find support. But I wouldn't be a buyer here. You could. I wouldn't. Right there. 293.79. If you're trading under that, I would leave it alone. You got a beautiful wick into it. This is another liquidation. So you're going to want to see price start to leave this area at some point and start to build in higher highs and higher lows. At a bare minimum, you need higher lows on, like, say, a 30-minute. Right now, that's your last lower low. So from here on out, you want to see higher lows. If that starts to happen, then you can make the argument that you are seeing buyers show up here. If you're not making higher lows, do not get involved. Okay. All right. Back over to oil. Loving the deltas on oil. Loving the volume up here. A lot of people are looking for short here. So here's the thing. If it breaks out, we're going to leave it alone because all these shorts are going to get smoked. Looks good. We get heavy selling pressure and it continues to put in higher lows. See how it's making higher lows? We'll be concerned. because there could be an iceberg. I don't imagine you're going to see big buyers up here. The smart money has already got long and been taking profits mostly. You're up 10.5% on oil. So, yeah, that's why you're seeing a lot of selling pressure. Let's go to the open of this. So this is the perpetual. So this candle opened at 2000 hours. I want to see exactly how much it's up. Yeah, it's up 8.16%. A bit much. Apple just spiked. It might want to fill this gap. There's the bell. Big move higher. This is where we want to see it roll. There's that gap fill. There's that bearish pressure. Love it. Perfect. That's what we want to see. Yeah, even the 5-minute looks good for shorts. In terms of day traders that are using the 220 strategy, they would be looking for shorts. Thanks, boss. You're more than welcome. Thank you, says Jewelry Affairs also. You are also more than welcome, my friends. Let's make some money. The VIX is back up to 27.04. The VIX has been up here trading in and just under $30 for the last 4 weeks. So I mean, if these markets are going to break down, I want to see that happen pretty damn soon. If it doesn't, it's going to feel like exhaustion to me. You bounced off of the weekly expected range high on the SPOOs. So right up here is your options expected move. And you can see how yesterday you traded above it a little bit. Now you're pulling back. So gap down and go. You're gapping under yesterday's low. This is typically what we call a gap and go, because everybody that got long yesterday is stuck. That's going to cause a little bit more selling pressure on the bell. But on the futures directly below it, you can see essentially what's going on here. Let's get rid of that. That's an old target. We were watching this blue line yesterday. I didn't take a short on it yesterday, though. But that's the level we were watching. All right, first take profit on Apple for me, it would probably be the yearly opening range down there. It's 2025's yearly opening range, but it is a yearly opening range. It's a big level. I don't know why that says the week high. That is not a weekly high. But we do want to mark the open, so that will probably actually be the take profit instead. That is, of course, if it gets down there. This is an old daily supply level. It is actually what held as support yesterday. See, gap down to it there. Oh, no, it wasn't yesterday. It was pre-market I saw. So if if Apple rolls over, then oil might not want to go lower today. We'll see what happens here. Apple's in a very thick range, so it's been struggling to break down. I know the chart is messy. There's a lot of levels here, but it's very clean on the weekly. You've been closing 21 week. You've had many retests and closes under. So it is looking more and more like it is just a matter of time before you break down under this major support. The major support comes in at 248. And then 245. Yeah, we could probably get rid of a lot of those levels here. We don't need April's open. That's a random. Sorry, I'm trying to be. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. That's this week's open. We'll get rid of that. 2026 low. So we definitely want to know where March's low is also. Beautiful. First take profit, 250. Take it above 250 though, like 250.40. Secondary take profit, 245. And then tertiary. But I rarely ever get to tertiary take profits. It's usually primary, then secondary, and then close the position entirely. You do need to set a take profit. A stop loss on oil, Brent crude specifically. We don't want to lose more than $30 on that. Set. Get up here on Apple and set take profit. Yeah, I have a stop loss out at 109 on oil. Take profit on Apple. What would that be? Let's just go. Let's see what this looks like. That's close enough to $300, so let's place it. Ooh, that's a far distance. Yeah, that's gonna have to be moved up. So I guess I was wrong the other day when I said 80 contracts should give me a big enough position size to where if I get, a 1% move, I would be able to close out of a $300 position size. To make $300. Yeah, that is wrong. So I would almost need 120 contracts, which I can do because on Apple you can market order into 220. You never want to go over what the max order for market is because that's how you get out of a stop loss. You want to be filled completely and get out when your stop gets hit. I'll leave it there just to see what happens. with it, but that's way under that weekly open. 249.12 is actually right here. But that's for me. This is going to be the best place to take profits, if possible, because this could definitely make price wiggle. It's the weekly open, and it's still up on the week. It's still bullish until it's under this white line. Then it's threatening a new weekly low, but as long as it's above this line, it's threatening a new weekly high. That's your weekly range. So it is obviously up. So this could just be a pullback. Only time will tell. I doubt it is for right now. Oil is ripping. But I mean, imagine if oil liquidates the pre-market shorts, stops here, closes up, and then opens the next 30-minute candle and pukes. Then Apple will most likely set support. Whenever you get a move in your direction like this, you want to take profits, generally speaking. It was a beautiful trade. It went straight up into there, filled us on the short, and then dumped. You can't ask for anything better. Love it. Love it. Because Tuesday's live stream was so freaking boring because prices was just sideways as crazy. Yesterday, too, for the live stream for the Discord, we were just bored out of our gourds, man. Price was doing absolutely nothing. Tuesday was the day everything was rallying. Bitcoin is trying to break down right now. It is testing weekly support right now. So you have a fresh weekly low on Bitcoin. That's not good. I mean, this will be the third. Sorry. It's going to be your third. Yeah, it's going to be your third weekly low. 1, 2, 3. So 3 weekly lows. I know some people are going to try to buy here. It is a good place to try to buy. It's weekly support. You need a weekly close below that before that support can be called busted. It might break, obviously, but I mean, there's a lot of pressure on it here. I don't know what the market participants heard in Mr. Trump's speech yesterday, but they definitely did not like it. It's insane how TRX is holding up on this bear market. Yeah, don't try to short TRX. That's usually a good sign when everything is bearish, but when it's not, it's an inherent strength. I mean, it obviously is starting to break down. You're starting to see weakness come back now, but I would have to look at it as a pullback only. Here, if you can't stay, like, you got to get above that. You got to get above that to get back to these areas up here. So if it can't, then it might be a short today, because this is a major liquidation level. It's a monthly swing high. You see what I'm saying? So as of right now, this is a rejection. It might not have any downside continuation out of it, but if you can't trade above yesterday's high, sellers are going to jump on it, because this is a breakdown move. This is clear exhaustion. So this might also be a short setup. I would wait for it to get there and then let price tell you whether or not it's going to break out or not. Because especially with crypto, when you get above the level, sometimes you'll see another big expansion, right? You start seeing that, then you don't want to be seller. But if you see price just do this, then you can be a seller. But yeah, very choppy here, but you haven't gone anywhere for the last 2 days. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it on watch. Let me set an alert. I did not set an alert. All right, perfect. VIX up to 27.28. Oil holding support. Bitcoin trending lower. I can't consider this a bear market until spreads widen above 4%. This is with spreads scheduled. Not sure what spreads you're talking about. Are you just talking about credit spreads, or there's so many spreads, option spreads. You've got the spread on the bid and the ask, and then credit spreads. You got spread trades. You got put spreads, call spreads. The word spread, when you're talking about the market, can mean so many things. It sounds like you're talking about credit spreads. You can have interest rate spreads. Spreads are a lot of things in the market. As long as Lloyd's of London underwriters hold the Strait hostage via insurance markets, this conflict will continue. Yep. It sounded like Donald Trump was asking for other people to go clean up that too, like basically by saying the US has plenty of oil, we're not being hurt by oil. For him to say that is ridiculous. Of course we are, because literally everything is made from oil. Plastic comes from oil. Yes, we have our own oil, but our oil is also expensive because of all of this. So it is definitely going to cause issues. For him to say, if you're being hurt by the spread being closed, then do something about it, is ridiculous. But I don't want to get into politics. I like to just focus on the markets. Unfortunately, politics sometimes drives the markets. All right, so TRX is actually doing that liquidation right now. TRX does not look like a short to me. Oh, I love it for a short. Yeah, I would be more than okay with shorting TRX here. Let me pull up TRX. On weeks, as we're waiting for Apple to suss out direction, we're waiting for oil to suss out direction. Oil is starting to falter here a little bit. So I'm pulling up Tron up on top so that way we can short the bejesus out of it if it wants to roll over too. We've been setting here on the 4-hour this thing for a very long time. Now, this structure is clearly very bullish. The 200 is way down here. So your structure is not bearish, but that delta looks good. Also, another thing that I'm noticing here on weeks, you are not liquidating the prior day high yet. You've got to get above that. On the daily time frame, structure is still massively bullish here, so I don't want to short it unless it wicks above this price and fails. That's the only way I want to short it. If it's trending above 31,661 at all, I don't care what price it is above this white line, I'm not getting short. Because you're trending at that point. Next level to potentially test is going to be 31,996. But if it gets up there and fails, boop, boop, then I can short it. And I do like it for the short because of these deltas are heavily shorted right now. Now, with that being said, that would also mean you don't want to short it if it starts to rip above yesterday's high, because even though market participants are heavily bearish here, the price is not confirming that yet. We think that it will eventually, unless there's an iceberg under price. If there's an iceberg absorbing all of this sell side pressure, then it's going to break out and run hard to the upside. That's why it makes it very easy for us to mitigate. If you're trading above yesterday's high, you do not short this. You could get burned up and chopped up. And we'll see what it does, but this is on Binance. What does it look like on Coinbase? Is it not on Coinbase? It's weird. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I like it. Above or below 31,661. I like it. Apple finding a little bit of support here while oil is finding a little bit of resistance here. If oil finds resistance here, this could be a buyable opportunity on Bitcoin. It's going to be a scary buy. I get it. You're under the weekly VWAP. You're under the new monthly VWAP. Price is bearish. You just made a fresh weekly low. Well, no, you didn't make a fresh weekly low. Yes, you did. That is Sunday's candle. That's what it is. Right here's your weekly open. Yeah, that's your weekly low. So I was right. I thought for sure the weekly low was just under price. And it was. It's right here. Boom. So you did just make a fresh weekly low on Bitcoin. Get rid of that. That's the open. We got it now. Yeah, it could be a buyable opportunity if oil rolls back over. It doesn't fit the sentiment. I get it. Sentiment is extremely bearish. All right, yesterday the crypto fear and greed index was at 8. This thing has been in extreme fear for months and months. Even the stock market right now is in extreme fear. That is generally when big money looks to buy. I have to set a new alert on Tron. Probably gonna miss it because we did get that on the crypto. Because we've already liquidated here on this chart. We have not liquidated on weeks yet. The reason there's no deltas on this is because this is a trading view chart. There's no volume. This is not a tradable asset. They have charts like this to kind of help with those illiquid markets. Kind of shows you better structure, I guess. I really don't know why. But there's no volume on any of those charts. We might not be able to catch Tron. It is otherwise bullish, guys. I don't love the short unless it fails here. It's just going to be hard to short because I really don't like this. I mean, I could short it via resistance. I could potentially take one loss on it. I don't know how much this moves either. Let me see real quick. Oh, it barely moves. This is a slow moving asset. So I would have to put on a $25,000 position size on this to be able to get it out with a scalp. That's an overestimation. Obviously, I'm just joking, but it is a slow mover. So right now we've got both Apple and oil shorts working for us. One of these will be wrong and the other one will hopefully go on to pay us our 300 bones. The Bitcoin is just, I just want to be short Bitcoin just in case it breaks down. It's mostly a hedge. That trade has already been paid out. So really and truly, this is just the house money. It's just house money. I just want to see what I can do with it. I almost had to close it yesterday. If it would have closed above the daily 21 exponential, I would have closed this out. But because it closed under, I held it. These are the two trades that we're currently monitoring right now. Apple short and XBR short, which is oil. I'm going to go ahead and forget about Tron. It's such a slow mover. I don't really want anything to do with it. And this is why I said you should take profits above the weekly open on Apple, because it can definitely find support. And it did. It found support just above, for now, just above. But remember, this is definitely bullish. As long as you're above this on Apple, you are up on the week. That indicates that the asset has more bullish pressure than bearish pressure. They didn't eliminate insurance participation during the Gulf conflict, so we're in uncharted territory. You were right, oil is rolling back. Well, I don't look at it in terms of right and wrong. I just look at it in terms of if price does this, I can do that, right? It's a 50-50 call. It's always going to be a 50-50 call, no matter what indicators we look at and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, for now, the short is working. We had objective levels to mitigate risk with. We saw that there was heavy selling pressure in terms of deltas. It's a beautiful place to take the short. You've already liquidated short sellers that started selling during the London session. You liquidated them, then you liquidated those guys. So now would be the time to put the short on. And we may get liquidated later, right? It may find intraday support somewhere down in here and then boom, break out to the upside. And in that scenario, Apple would hopefully go lower and hit our take profit target. But if this breaks down nasty like it did the other day, then Apple will probably stop us out. Either way, we're going to make our 300 bucks and we're going to lose 60. The math wins. The math wins. You don't get occasions like this very often in this market where one asset class is literally driving order flow for the rest of the markets. Very rarely does that happen. But when it does, that's when you want to be, busy. We've been very busy this week. We've been putting on trades every day. And winning trades every day. So it's been a good week. Been a good week. I have no idea what we're listening to. I just put on an extreme sports playlist and this is what we get. Everything else up until this point has been nice. But I'm not really digging this. Surf rock 1960s. No thank you. Moving along, please. Get the head bobbing. Yeah, this is a little better. All right. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, oil, obviously countries do not like it when oil is up like this. So people are definitely going to want to try to make moves to get oil prices down. Whether or not those moves are going to be effective or not, well, the market will tell us later on. But Bitcoin is holding weekly support still. You have a bullish engulfing 30-minute candle here at the weekly support. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to trend back up all day, but that's a good sign at least. Let's see if we can see the buyers showing up on the session volume profile. Not really. I mean, there is action down here, but not the kind of action that I would want to see. Let's go into the smaller time frame charts. Yeah, most of the action is here at this prior swing low. But I'd say a lot of those were levered traders and they've been stopped out at this point. So that could act as resistance because anybody that got long here that did not sell could start selling once you get back up into there. But we'll see. It is a nice reaction. But big reactions like this usually get faded. Big level though. It's massive. It has so much implications for the weeks to come. People, your long traders only or buyers only, do not want to see this level break. I have been adding to my portfolio at 67K because I consider that to be fair value in this range. I will add at 57 and 47 as well. Under 37 is when I start to take a step back and think something else is going on. I don't have targets down there. I'm just simply stating Bitcoin should not go down there, but it might. That is roughly going to be about 35% away from the weekly 200 simple moving average. That's where we bottomed out in 2022's bear market cycle. 35% below the weekly 200. So that's about when I would anticipate a snap back or, prices elastic, so a reversion to the mean. So I will be accumulating while this is happening because Bitcoin historically is a buy when it's oversold on the weekly time frame. Obviously it can keep going lower. We know that. We know at some point if we want to participate in a Bitcoin rally for the long term, you've got to put risk on at some point. And it's going to be impossible to pick the exact low. We do really good at picking lows because of the strategies we use, but I can't tell you what that low will be. What is the VIX doing? Yeah, the VIX has turned back to red on the day. So VIX essentially just retested Tuesday's range. We discussed the VIX yesterday during the members only live stream. We were talking about if it traded back up to 2964 and then quit going up, we could potentially be buyers on the S&P because the S&P down at this low is down only 9%. So like that's a buying by the dip. It's not a massive sell-off. So even though the VIX is at 30, the S&P should be down 15 to 20% when the VIX is at 30. It's not. It could in the future, but for whatever reason, it's not yet. Now, this can be chalked up as just more participation in the markets from retail clients. Technology's better. It's easier for people to participate in the markets, you can buy VIX calls on your phone. You know what I mean? So it's very easy. And that's why we're seeing this discrepancy with the VIX and the S&P. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if the VIX was at 30, the S&P would be down 20 freaking percent easily. Because 30 VIX is like crazy. But it ain't like that anymore. Not like that anymore for whatever reason. We got to get a stop loss on Apple. Didn't even realize music was playing. Yeah, I got it on very low. Because there's periods where I don't say anything, so yeah. I don't want YouTube to hit you guys with a commercial when my voice stops talking. They have a bad habit of doing that. Yeah, I like the VIX being up at 30 because the ranges are large. You can, when you catch trending moves, they tend to be a little bit bigger than normal market conditions. Say like with a 14 or a 15 VIX, which has been normal since Trump has been in office. Before Trump, 12 and 11 was a normal VIX. We haven't seen those levels on the VIX in years. Anything above 15, generally, that's when we would be, you know, getting ready to make money because of the ranges exploding. Nowadays, like I said, that's just normal. A 15 VIX. So now you almost have to make it like anything above 20 or 25 is elevated. 20. Yeah, it is definitely elevated. And when it's elevated, you can have whipsawed reactions in both directions, which is literally what we got yesterday. Bitcoin was mostly bullish. It was obviously struggling up here at the daily 21. You know, we expected a little bit of resistance to show up there, but nothing like that. Nothing like this. But that's your elevated VIX. You'll get big moves in both directions. Makes it difficult for directionally biased traders. Oil is giving us a trending move lower here. We like it. Apple is still sussing out direction. Still looks good for a lower move. But with Bitcoin bouncing like that, we have to be a little bit cautious. I think Bitcoin will ultimately this move will probably get faded, and the oil move will probably get faded as the day goes on, because you're not seeing an aggressive move lower on oil. This is consistent with a pullback. I'm also keeping an eye on the dollar chart as I do trade FX as well. Over here is your FX stuff that I'm looking at right now. The dollar is back above the 50 on the daily. Yet today is a very, very good looking range. Obviously, you have a daily supply zone at 100-21. So that's where the near-term resistance is going to be. You're going to need to see the dollar come off a bit if you anticipate oil continuing lower today. If the dollar continues to trade up here around the high, I would be more concerned with oil rallying. Euro got pounded yesterday. Could potentially be a buy the dip opportunity on Euro if the dollar is going to go back down. We tried to get long on Euro on Monday. We got stopped out. I missed the long on Tuesday, and I have yet to retry another long, just to kind of mitigate the risk here on Aussie dollar shorts, because that worked out great. This thing traded down all week last week. Every day was a lower close. Every day. Just down, down, down. There was a big spike yesterday. I didn't want to do anything with it, but since I missed the long here on Euro, I might as well just close this. We'll see what happens. SPY bouncing pretty strong. All the way back up to 650 on the open. So people could be buying the Apple dip. The SPY actually looks good for this Bitcoin bounce. Yeah, you're above the 930 open on Bitcoin. Right here's your New York session open. Put in that lower move, that fresh weekly low, and then bounced. We'll see those early longs in here. And in here, if they sat through this pain, they're going to be exiting pretty soon. That might cause a little bit of sell pressure, but if you bought the weekly open, clearly you want to see Bitcoin back above the March open. And it could absolutely do that. But you're going to need oil to come off. And we are starting to get a little bit more of a trending move here. So it is starting to look pretty good. In terms of the 4-hour chart, you haven't done anything yet. You've got to take that low out. That's why I'm saying this right here is consistent with a pullback only. It's not a like sell-off yet. If you're looking at the small time frames, it does look like a pretty good sell-off, right? It looks like it's dumped, but it hasn't. This is not a dump. This is very consistent with a pullback. You're still trading inside the last 4-hour sessions range. It isn't until you start making lower lows. What is that? Okay. Pippin USDT watching the 1-hour close and a possible short. Pippin. We have Pippin on watch. Let me just get it on there. Big pimpin'. Yeah, it's popping hard today. It's up 12%. I don't know why there's so much bullish pressure on it today. This thing is very crazy. It's a big mover too. I mean, it went from $1 down to 4 cents. I don't know how much juice there's left on this to even squeeze to the downside. You got a lot of intra-week volatility here right now. I would assume that's going to be a short covering rally. It could last for a couple of days. I mean, if I was short at $1 and it got all the way down to 4 cents, I think I would close my short. It's literally a 96% return. I wouldn't be anticipating much more out of it. You know what I mean? So I think you could be a little bit early looking for shorts on the 1-hour time frame, but you've got an old swing high right there. If it fails, maybe a short works out for you. Just look at it in terms of, I mean, for you, getting short here to zero is a 100% move. I get it. But in looking at it in terms of the larger picture, like, You were just at $1 5 weeks ago. So the short has literally played out. In fact, if I take log off, you'll see, right? That's what you're trying to short. You're trying to short the bottom, even though you're looking at the 1 hour time frame. So just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that your trade is stupid or anything. It's just, it's low. So this could just be a short covering rally. Be careful. Make sure your risk is mitigated. Make sure your risk is mitigated. This thing moves very quickly. It's a good asset to trade when it was up there. It was moving a lot. Just that little spike right there is a 3% move. From here to here is a 3% move. This thing cooks. So I like it in terms of scalping it for its volatilities alone. You know what I mean? Just make sure your risk is mitigated, because that's heavy with a lot of leverage. A 3% move can blow your account. Be a massive loss. For me, that would be like a $300, $400 loss. Just be careful. It moves fast. Yeah, oil finding a little bit of support. Let's see if they fade Bitcoin now. Let's go look at Bitcoin on the higher time frames. Oh yeah, Bitcoin's got to go all the way back to the March open to do anything. I imagine you're going to have 4-hour supply sellers showing up pretty soon. I mean, it's not a supply candle in terms of what I define as supply, but it is an old support level. So, I mean, people will short there. Whether it's enough to stop this or, you know, stop this rally or not, that's still to be determined. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on this morning. Pretty active morning. I'm glad, because everything on Tuesday and yesterday was so sideways. Oh my gosh, it was like watching paint dry. At least this morning we have trades. Both trades are in the money. Apple and oil are both in the money. That's a good place to be. We know that one of them will be closed out, though, on a loss, most likely. And with everything going on the way it is right now, I would have to assume that Apple will probably be the winner. But it's still too early. The week open is a big, big level to hold. We'll see if it can hold it. I mean, it's still a beautiful short setup. You got a short setup that is absolutely good all the way up to 253.97. But I mean, I don't know if I would want to jump on it if that were to happen, because we already got a pretty good move in our direction. It just didn't. I couldn't get my take profit up there. Position size was too small, so I have to let it fight with this support. The Pippin setup didn't play out, so didn't take trade. Good job. Good job. That's the best way to be right there. If it's not doing what you want it to do, stay away from it. Yeah. Very good. Mitigate risk. I'm a bit late to the party, says Verbal. You're never too late, my friend. Never too late. Lunar says, still find it odd that a lot of crypto people ignore the VIX because they don't think it applies to Bitcoin. It absolutely applies. It applies to all markets. It's literally the volatility index. It's the volatility index. I mean, it's the volatility index. So it definitely applies. Crypto is traded risk on, risk off. As long as that's the case, volatility matters. Yep. I think it does, but I mean, it's kind of subjective. There is volatility metrics on Bitcoin too. There are a few of them, and they're all up as well. So yeah, it matters. Good morning, non-stoppity. Ridiculous says Max shorting oil. Keck. A couple people were this week. I saw one guy took a $50 million short on oil at 102. So hopefully that guy got out yesterday. He was specifically short Brent crude at 102. So hopefully that guy took his profits yesterday. Because he sat in a lot of pain for a long time. He even had 5x leverage on that trade. $50 million short. Whew, that would have been painful. Yeah, it does kind of suck that crypto bros are trading oil right now because crypto's so bad. So we're trading oil. Oil's giving us 5 and 6% intraday moves. There are crypto assets that are doing that. Pippin is one of them. It's up 3% in the last 10 minutes. So there are still volatility plays on crypto. You just got to find them. VEX elevation strengthens my short bias on premium. Reject 78, 71 zone. Yeah, VIX is when the VIX is up, it definitely makes premium elevated for sure. Yes, it does. I would be more comfortable selling above 75 or 76 for the duration. If I was looking for selling calls, I wouldn't want to take that trade, obviously, with Bitcoin down here at 66, but when it was up here, I would absolutely been okay taking short calls above 75. I specifically would want to be above MSTR's cost basis, which is setting at 75. $75,695 is what I got. Grok says it's in between 694 and 699, so I just put it at 695. But yeah, as long as price is under that, selling calls, I imagine you're going to do pretty good. And with the VIX up, premiums are up. So that's not a bad strategy right now. And Bitcoin's been in a multi-week range, so it's getting a little bit, it's the longer you stay in a multi-week range like this, the worse it becomes selling puts and calls. Because eventually this range is going to snap. Right now it looks good. The last 3 weeks you've been making lower highs, so being short calls at 71, not terrible, right? It's last week's high, so it's not that bad. It's a good trade. I would be sweating that trade if you get back above last week's open. Yeah, it still looks fantastic for downside continuation. We know that we have a lot of volume here. That's why price is taking its sweet time right in this area. Market is closed tomorrow. Yes, it is. In the US, we have Easter Sunday, and tomorrow is going to be Good Friday. And yep, the market will be closed. However, your futures markets might still be trading, obviously. Some of them will, and obviously crypto will still be trading. Some Forex will still be trading. And you're going to get a non-farm payroll print tomorrow. You're going to get an NFP print. So you're going to get an NFP print when liquidity is light. Keep that in mind. If you guys carry positions over the weekend, this weekend, you are going to get a non-farm payrolls number tomorrow that could absolutely jack up your positions because liquidity will be super light especially if this number comes in real high or real low. Same with unemployment. It comes in, 2/10 higher or 2/10 lower, because it's going to be a low liquidity environment. You could see massive spikes in price. It's just one of those scenarios where things just lined up. I will be watching USD JPY tomorrow. Right? I don't know that the BOJ is going to intervene on the yen, but the last time they did when a really good CPI number came out. That's when BOJ intervened. So if you get a really good bullish number out on the dollar tomorrow, but the dollar just gets nuked, I'm going to assume that's intervention, and I'm going to be looking for that short. Other than that, if price is bullish tomorrow on the dollar, I'm not going to be shorting after 8:30 a.m. But I will be watching that specifically. USD JPY is actually up today. Ooh, damn it. I was kind of this week, or Sunday, I should say, last Sunday, not last week, this past Sunday, we had channel members only live stream. This was one of the plays that we discussed for a lengthy amount of time. And specifically, I said if we could liquidate the weekly high on Friday, and then if you get really good news out for dollar bull positions and price still fails, then I would be willing to take a short on it. It's been a really good week for me, so I have the money to risk. It's been a bad week for you, then maybe don't try this trade, because it's going to, there's so many things have to line up. It's almost guaranteed to fail. I know there's a lot of yennerbeaners out there right now, a lot of yen professionals on Twitter and YouTube's talking about the BOJ intervention. I was one of them a long time ago, but obviously that didn't play out. So we have no idea where the BOJ wants to intervene. And we know the BOJ wants to intervene in a way that it doesn't destroy the markets. So you might not even be able to participate in a BOJ intervention. You might not know when it happens. It may not have the effect you are anticipating, is what I'm trying to say. Back over to Apple. I'd like to see it start to trend pretty soon if it is going to break down, as oil is still very much acting very consistent with a buy the dip opportunity. It's hard for me to think that people will buy the dip with oil being up 8% already on the day, but it is what it is. Now, oil is one of those assets that does not move 8% consistently. It's just super volatile right now. But that is when their opportunities are large. So we have to watch it. Bitcoin starting to show a little bit of weakness here. That makes sense. Remember, these first bounces usually get faded. You're going to have all of these early longs that sat through this pain. Now that price is back, those are the people shedding, right? Those are the ones that are getting out. They're like, nope, let's get out. It didn't do what I wanted to do, and it was almost a big loss. At least this way I can get out at break even. And that's going to force a little bit of sell side pressure. But if this buying was real, if it was real or legit, we would want to see dip buyers start to creep in, though, when that happens. As we do not want to see Bitcoin lose weekly support for the long-term longs for their sake. For the near-term shorts, obviously, you need this level to break. Why aren't you farming HL? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I know what you mean by farming. I just don't know what you're talking about on HL. Not sure if that's a ticker symbol or what. 5x on 15-minute means you would have had to put up margin, or that's a lick. That's true. That's true. Hyperliquid. Oh, that's what you're talking about. HL, Hyperliquid. Got it. Has season 3 fairly soon. It incentivates trading outside of crypto. Yeah, Weeks is also incentivating people to trade outside of crypto. They're trying to get the liquidity up on those, on all of those stocks and oil and gold and stuff. So right now they're offering zero fees. You still have to pay the funding rates, but the funding rates, that's it's not considered a fee. It is a fee, but it's not a fee that Weeks collects. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what Hyperliquid is, so. And if it comes down to the point to where I can't trade on Weeks anymore, I'm just gonna trade locally. I'm just gonna open up. I have a Coinbase account already. I'm just gonna situate the perps over there on Coinbase. They have futures trading now on a lot of the pairs that I keep an eye on. I'll be done with offshores. And Hyperliquid, if I'm not mistaken, is definitely offshore. It would be like, it's the same thing. It's the same boat that I'm in now. I just don't want to have to trade with a VPN. So hopefully everything works out, but it is what it is. I'll be fine regardless. Drum and bass takes me back to my 20s, late 90s were awesome. Yeah. Yep, me too, my friend, me too. Me too. The glory days of when we were kids, putting 12-inch kickers in the backseat of your friend's car. CD players were new. we got the benefit of being around from the massive transition. I watched a video the other day that was so fantastic. They were talking about that specifically, how we went from talking to people on a corded wall telephone with cable TV, VHS, all of that stuff, to the digital age. You've got kids out there that don't even know what a VHS tape is, what a CD player is. It's crazy. When I was a kid, a CD player was like new. What is this thing called a compact disc? Yeah, I'm old. Was that the end of that? Looks like it. All right. There are other playlists on this thing, but Bitcoin finding a little bit of a bounce. Apple 2. Yeah. Oil's breaking down, making a fresh 4-hour swing low. You definitely want to see that if you're short oil. So that's a good look. It doesn't mean that you've won yet, but it is definitely a good look. Dollar's still up at 100. 100 is a big figure number on the dollar. It has literally been causing all kinds of chaos. Not specifically, I guess, but it is a big figure. A lot of people are going to be watching this area. But it's got to get above the Q4 swing high, and then it has to trend for a breakout to be confirmed. You still don't have bullish invalidation on this yet. And until we get that bullish inval, we have to be more near-term bullish, unfortunately. I would much rather see dollar breaking down, heading much lower, as that would be better for Bitcoin long-term, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of chaos out there. This could be helpful for dollar weakness. 10-year yields are starting to show what looks to be a little bit of exhaustion. So hopefully this move ends up being just like a flash in the pan. If that happens, then risk markets may bounce. Risk markets looked really good at the beginning of the week. Apple still looks okay. It's still bullish. It's still up on the week. It has no point yet, at no point, even threatened a bearish close. Later today it will, obviously, if it's trading under it, but right now this is just a pullback. You're trading inside of last week's range. There's 2 weeks right there of price action for you. The sideways, choppy price action, there's a bounce. Let's see, did we get that move on oil as well? Yes. We're starting to see some action here. Let's go back up top so you can see the magic as it's happening. So you can see the oil trade has literally taken over where Apple was. So looks like we may get stopped out of Apple here, guys, as oil starts to generate that money. Not a lot of money, but it adds up. Bitcoin bouncing. This looks and feels like a news item. We just got stopped out. Look at Bitcoin. Boom. The dip buyers have shown their faces. So now we're in a very precarious position here, because we do have oil in profits. It's not quite far enough, but you're going to have to make a decision, because you no longer have that Apple short covering you. Right? So oil is moving still. It is breaking down. So it's a good look. It's a good look. Go ahead and take profits on oil. If you shorted oil with me, take profits, man. It's a big move. Then you don't have to worry about what it does for the rest of the day. I'm going to go ahead and set a take profit on it. I have to close the stop loss first because that's some stupid stuff. I don't know why that's like that, but it is. I don't know if that was news or just too many piled up longs. But basically, we'll want to see the bulls. This could be a liquidation, unfortunately. Same with Apple. I don't like this. I don't want to get chopped up in it. So I have to make a decision, though. This is still bearish. Still looks kind of not, it's not bearish, it's bullish. But I mean, structure still supports a short. You did not make a higher daily high. That's the problem. If we would have made a higher daily high, I would be more than okay with leaving it alone. But this is starting to feel like a stop run. Look at this bounce back up on oil. Yeah, volatility is here. It makes trading very tight stop losses very difficult. Very difficult. All Are they fading Bitcoin? Not yet. See, here's the problem. Bitcoin did make that higher high, but it just liquidated a lot of early sellers. It's a bullish engulfing. There's an hour and 20 minutes. That is enough time for this to get all the way back down to here and end up closing as a bearish engulfing. So I would love to see Bitcoin take off and trend above this high. So as long as it's under the high, really hasn't done anything. But if it's above it, it has. And it's very constructive. Oil is back down. I'm going to set take profit on oil. Alright, gotta take profit situated. If it makes a lower low, I will get filled. Okay, Apple is literally still at this level, but let's see if it can make that higher daily high. Because that would be a bullish signal if it could do that, since it's bullish on the week. And I wouldn't put on another short is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, SPY filled the gap. It did a lot more than that. It almost made a multi-day high. So SPY has been just making higher highs and higher lows all morning. The SPY has more of a bullish feel here, obviously. So I think I'll leave the Apple short alone. But damn it, if oil ends up finding support, look at that. That Pippin did ultimately fall for you. That sucks. Yeah, I hate when that happens too. It pushed way too far above to feel like a liquidation, but it ultimately got faded. I like the short on oil longer term. So like if you were looking for a swing trade, for instance, I would rather be short oil and have more of a bullish bias on, say, your risk on assets like Bitcoin and Apple, things like that, because I know that governments are going to be working with one another to try to get oil prices down. Because right now, Euro's getting beat by in two different places because they're net oil importers. So when Brent crude is up, it puts pressure on the euro. So not only do they have to buy oil at a much expensive or more expensive price, but their currency is also weaker. So they're getting hit on both ends. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say? Yeah, that sucks for people that have to buy oil by the boatloads. Literally. I need 30 ships this week. Those percentages, the spread on those percentages it's going to make them feel like they're paying 4x what they normally do, essentially. So yeah, they're going to be working overtime trying to get this back down. Now, if you're a net exporter company or country, it doesn't hurt that bad. Like the US, it is hurting us in terms of goods, everything that's made from plastic, literally everything, which is pretty much everything. is going to be affected eventually if these prices stay up like this. So I do like oil to come off more or less, but it could take months for that to happen. And my long-term analysis on oil would be, I think it's, hopefully it starts to come off. Well, this is a very bad chart to show that. Like longer term, it will start to loosen up a little bit and then start to trend back lower. The only problem is I have no idea when or at what price that'll start to happen. So I do like the oil lower, which is why I've had more of a short side bias on it. But on the near term, it doesn't matter, right? On the near term, it does not matter. We're just simply looking to participate in the intraday volatility and make our bucks here and there when we can and be happy with it. XBR USDT. But it is a good look. We caught this entire move the other day. I think it's a pretty good, like, I love this because I just made most of my money that I made this week was on oil, or a big chunk of it, because that was a nice trade. And then I wake up with it up here and I take another short on it and then I get paid again. It's like, come on, man. That's fantastic stuff. And I knew I didn't want to short anything under, like right here was where I wanted to put the short on. It was as easy as that. Like, I don't want to short it here. I want to short it here. When price comes into contact with my level, then I put the short on and it works out. Boom. But we had a little bit of an indication that it was. We've seen heavy selling pressure in this move up. So this right here is what I call a trap. So any retail traders that were trying to short oil going into the London session, you were right on direction. You were just early. So, I mean, obviously I know that still means you're wrong, but still you were right. You had the right idea. This move right here was just to get you to keep trying. Keep trying, and then it'll take your money from you. Just wait until New York. If you're right, it'll work in New York. It's fantastic stuff. Apple has still not made that fresh day high. I would love it to do that. Then I will just forget about it, right? I won't worry about it anymore. Until it makes a fresh day high, I'm going to be concerned that, it might not want to go up. The SPY looks good, but I haven't analyzed the SPY. The SPY is into resistance here. It's actually above resistance. So that's a good look. It's into another form of resistance, but if the SPY was going to be weak today, I would assume it would do it from here, not up there. But I mean, it's price. It's impossible to predict what it's going to do. But I mean, that's gap fill. It didn't need to go on up into there. It could have just been a lot of momentum that drove it up into there. A lot of people got stopped out on that spike. Bam. So that order flow just drove it aggressively higher. Yeah. But until I don't like this. This is a resistance area as well. Like, if I was wanting to be a seller, this would be a good place to do that. It's not a fresh day high, But I mean, it's not a huge bounce either. The sellers aren't out of the woods here, which means oil could ultimately bounce. And then finish trending up if it wants to trend higher today. Apple could roll over, and then we would lose both trades. That would not be good. That's why I'm saying you should probably take profits on oil while you have them, and then it doesn't matter what happens later on today. All right, let me finish reading some of these comments. Yeah, markets close tomorrow. For sure. Keep that in mind. And you got non-farm payroll tomorrow as well. A $1.5 million airdrop, fade at your peril. I don't know what you're talking about. Fade what? What am I fading? And it's not going to be my peril, my friend. I'm a fantastic risk manager. I'm up so much on the week. Today really didn't even need to happen. But I'm glad it did. We had a really good week this week. We do really good pretty much most weeks. Let's see what Apple wants to do here real fast. I'm going to get Apple pulled back up on watch just in case. I don't really want to take another shot at it though. It's got to do a lot to make a fresh weekly high, so I'm not really concerned about that. Yeah, it could still close as a bearish engulfing candle. That's the issue I have with it. We have an hour and 10 minutes left on this candle too. Ugh, oil's bouncing too hard. So maybe it wasn't news. Maybe it was just a lot of stops came off. That's a big bounce. All right, let's go look at it. I mean, it looks good for upside continuation to me. Yeah, I like that it did make lower lows on the 4 hour, but that's just an intraday lower low. It's not a lower daily low or anything that's important. Yeah, you literally just stopped out everybody from 10 o'clock last night. So anybody that bought in here is probably gone. So now it could definitely rally. It doesn't feel like it will, because risk markets look good. The SPY specifically looks really good. You did a lot more than just filled the gap and rolled over. It still looks constructive. I think that might have been news. VIX back under 26. You're at 25.01. Dollar looks like it wants to head lower. It did the same thing that oil did. Look at this. It did almost the identical same thing. 4 hour candle just got too over its skis with longs, and this is like a blow off almost, but it's a small intraday blow off. Got under the last two swing highs or swing lows. Exactly like oil. I can't believe I did that with silver yesterday. That was a free one that got away from me. That one was free money. XMR looks rough. Zcash gave all of that spike back. Pingu is so close to the lows. Bonk, so close to the lows. Barcoin's given back most of the rally at the March open. ETH looks good. ETH is currently trading above the highs. That's a good sign. What is dominance doing today? I haven't looked at dominance today. It's up. So for whatever reason, Bitcoin dominance does not want to break down. If it does, you might see some alts pump. But it's not a really good trend line either. And that trend line has been moved so many times at this point. It was here, then there, then there, then there. Now it's got to move again. It's doing nothing. Yeah, ETH is still looking rough, man. All the way up to there on a daily basis. But on the near term, it looks okay. There's a new day high on Apple. Good. All right. So I'm not going to try to short Apple again. That's more of a bullish signal to me than it is a bearish signal, because you're still up on the week. You rejected the week open. That would have been a buying opportunity if you had a bullish bias, and you got your move. Like, the sellers are wrong. They could be right now or later on today, but for me, for the New York session, this was a buying opportunity, not a selling op. I was on the wrong side of it, but it's okay because I caught the oil in return. So I'm just going to leave the oil trade alone and let it produce. Thank you, Apple. What's Nvidia doing? Nvidia is making fresh day highs currently. It's into resistance, but Tesla's being faded. Oh, it's sideways AF. Yeah. Tesla doesn't look as good as the others. That was our next downside target on Tesla. I wouldn't be able to buy it, but could be a buying op. It holds support. It's holding support. SPY looks good. Looks like it wants to make a higher high. Apple looks good. It's making higher highs. Yeah, I'm going to get filled on that oil take profit. So good to go. Nice. It was a good day. All right. Hyperliquid equals HL. Yeah, I figured that out once I read your lower comment and you put the whole word in there for me. I appreciate it. The 90s were great, says Jewelry Affairs. I have to agree. High time frames, I have to wonder if the dollar is done being weak. Yeah, we all do right now. We can't get too bearish on the dollar just yet. You have to see bullish invalidation first. I mean, you can, obviously, you can try to short the Q4 2025's high on the dollar. And you can do that via getting long Aussie dollar, pound dollar, or euro dollar, or USD CAD. But well, no, you wouldn't want to get long your USD CAD. You'd want to be, anyways. You get what I'm saying. There are ways to trade the dollar short, and the macro is supported or more supportive for the bearish dollar, but because of what's going on now with the war, that has backed off some rate cuts. Whereas there were more priced in by the end of the year, now there's only one. Last week, because the volatility and everything was so messed up, they actually had a 20% chance of a rate hike in December. But that's backed off. There's less than a 3% chance of a rate hike. But it's the big chance is that we only see one rate cut this year for the entire year. So that takes some of that bearish dollar bias off the table. That's why we're trading the chart. If we get a bullish inval on the dollar, then we'll get right back to being bearish on the dollar. But until we get that, we have to be more or less dollar bulls on the near term. Similarly to how you want to fade rallies in a bear market, when you're bullish, you want to fade those bearish moves. The dollar had 2 nasty bearish days this week, so it was a difficult fade trade. Lot of momentum. The fade would have been right there, in my opinion, on Monday. Well, if you took that, you got smoked. And then on Tuesday, you gapped down and put in an even bigger trending move to the downside. But this would have been an area to look for the fade, or the next area to look for the fade at the daily 21 exponential. And that's what they've done here today. But once again, your dollar sellers have showed up. So it's in price discovery. There really isn't a bull bear bias on it right now. And this could take some time. It has been taking time. This is week number 4 in this same range. We were actually looking for the dollar to break out last week, and when that did not happen here, that made me kind of back off on that dollar bull bias. I have to ask myself, why is this thing literally refusing to break out? The same way that I feel about the bearish positioning on Bitcoin right now. Like, the sellers have had the door open for the sell side position. They've literally just had to walk through it, and they keep not doing that. So I have to ask, why? Why are the bears failing to break this down? So the longer this happens, or the longer this takes place, it's going to feel more and more, almost with each passing day, that the sell side is exhausted on Bitcoin. And it is just a matter of time before you get that rip your face off rally that nobody thinks is coming. I will remind you, if you go on Twitter or X, the only people right now that are bullish are perma bulls. Those people are always bullish. It doesn't matter what Bitcoin does, those people are always bullish. Everybody else is bearish. Everybody else thinks 20K Bitcoin is on the way. It's only around the corner. Well, it's been around the corner now for long enough. So the bears, if they're going to win, they need to do it soon. That's the way I look at it. They've had the door wide open to run this thing. And you can see it really good on a longer time frame chart. Like, really good. Every time since over here, just ignore this, right? Every time the bears have gotten Bitcoin back down to 65K, they back off, and then the bulls take over, run it all the way up to Michael Saylor's cost basis. Bears show up there, which makes sense. They bring it right back down. You have a little bit of price discovery here that takes a little bit. The Bears win. They bring it right back down to here, and then they back off. So the Bears are not very confident that they're right. Otherwise, we would be breaking down. Now, like I said, it could happen tomorrow or this next week or even the week after. We can't see the future. It could happen. But each passing day that goes by and they can't, it's going to feel more and more like exhaustion. And at some point, I would be looking for higher prices. But I still have a short open. Like I said, I'm still short Bitcoin. I'm short from up here. So I see no reason to close that just yet. There's still a lot of volatility out there. There's still a lot of chaos and a lot of headline risk. And that is pretty much the only reason I'm bearish. You get rid of the headline risk. There is some headwind risk for Bitcoin too via, you got the BIP 110 thing that's still being done. Like they're going full on with that still. And then you have the next BIP, which will be for quantum computing. Those are headwind risks for Bitcoin, but there are a lot of tailwinds also for Bitcoin. Especially if you get a weak dollar. If the dollar breaks back down, that will be new tailwinds for Bitcoin. Analysts right now have a really tough job, but risk managers don't. Risk managers' jobs are always easy. You just manage risk. That's why you never really see me calling for long-term targets. I used to, but I don't do that so much anymore because that's mostly for my own ego. It has nothing to do with, they're not actionable plays usually. We call out actionable stuff here. Like if I'm getting short, you can too. It's a pretty good, we're going to take some stops, but eventually we're going to catch some too. But I don't have a super macro big downside target on Bitcoin. It's just a matter of time before the Bears, they don't really have much left to get. And I think it's because of where it is, technically speaking. Like it's been oversold for a long time, and a lot of people are comparing this cycle to 2022, especially a lot of your the guys that like to grab the fractals. Like they're grabbing a fractal from over here and putting it on right here, so they're looking for like nasty downside targets. But like I showed the people in the Discord yesterday, this is not the same. You were not oversold when the short trade that we took, mind you, we shorted this. This is not the same. You are massive. You were oversold here. Your bear market was over at that point. Yeah, you did get another leg lower, a very small leg lower right there. But I mean, at that point, I would argue that you should have been buying Bitcoin, not selling it. And that's where I am here. There's not much room left for me to be a seller here, because I know eventually this indicator is going to pop back up to the upside. I don't know when, but it's literally happened every time in Bitcoin's history. Could this be the first time ever that Bitcoin hits oversold, stays pretty much in the same range, and then nukes off another 50%? Yeah, it could be. Could absolutely be. But it would be the first time ever. So that's why it's hard for me to give you big downside targets. We're already pretty close to what could be a low. Yeah, just be careful. Just make sure your risk is mitigated, and be careful, especially if you follow people that have massive lower downside targets. Or just ask them, why isn't the oversold on the weekly chart giving you any concern with expecting another 50% drop here? It could definitely happen, though. It could definitely happen. Michael Saylor is stuck. And he owns like $60 billion worth of Bitcoin. As long as he is stuck and in the red, it is a risk. It is a big risk. And him liquidating positions could literally cause that 50% drop from here. But he swears he won't. I don't trust him. You know what I mean? I can't trust people like that. I can't. You say one thing, bro, but that's your company. Your company is getting nuked and you're just going to allow it? Okay. Because you believe in this asset class more than you do your own company? I don't see, like, you no longer have a company if this thing keeps going down. So, I mean, I'm sure he'll start selling at some point. I could be wrong, but if I wanted my company, if I wanted to be able to give my company to my kids or whatever, for instance, in the future, so they have a business to run, then I wouldn't want to run it into the ground. But maybe that's not what he has in store for the future. Maybe who knows? But yeah, it's definitely a risk while we're under his cost basis. That's all. I believe, like he does, that Bitcoin will absolutely be more expensive in the future. I firmly believe that. I think it's the best technology right now for moving large sums of money. You do not need anything to do it either. You can simply remember your wallet and your seed phrase, and you can access your money anywhere in the world. There's no third-party intermediary. There's nothing really else like it. I mean, other cryptos, obviously, but the technology as a whole. And Bitcoin was the first. That's why it's the best. It's legit money at this point. At this point, it's legit money. And once the world adopts it and believes it and starts to accept it as such, it will go up. That's a nice reaction off of weekly support. If I would have been a buyer there this morning, like if I would have saw something in the charts that made me want to be a bull, this is exactly the reaction I would have wanted to see. I would have been a buyer at the weekly low, which would have gave me a fill literally right here. And I would like this reaction. I'd be concerned with this March open resistance, and then up here with the monthly VWAP, be concerned with all of that. But at least I would be able to say that's a good reaction. Very good reaction. Oil is, gonna chop a little bit here, but ultimately it looks okay. Ooh, almost exited out. I would say yesterday's high on Apple is being threatened here. if it can stay above last week's open. VIX looks good. It's coming off. It's not quite under support yet. It's going to need to get a close under 25.22 today. If it can do that, risk assets will probably look good or better. They will look better. Yeah. Nvidia's into resistance right now. Tesla's still trying to hold support. I might buy a small piece of Tesla today if it keeps holding the support for much longer. I'll probably take a small long on it, but I don't love that idea. Tesla still looks bad on the long term to me. It's not terrible. It's holding a channel like to perfection almost. Though it's not like nasty selling pressure. Just methodical taking profits almost. The lower it goes, the more people will be forced to take profits. But it still looks okay. It definitely looks recoverable. Less jobs equals less discretionary spending. This is true. TradFi involvement is usually a sell. Yeah, I mean, people are going to have different opinions on it for sure. I can't see why anybody would use anything else. What, other than Hyperliquid? Well, Weeks is a great exchange. I've only had one issue, and I've been trading on this exchange for years. They have cheap fees. I have no problems with it. One issue. I think he is too, but we'll see. Time will tell. Bitcoin is just his vehicle for credit creation. Yeah, I can't imagine he would let it go to zero. You know what I mean? I can't imagine he would in good faith do that. He employs a lot of people too. So he can't do that if his company's worth zero. I'm sure he's going to want to have some kind of protections or something. Surfbro says, Tesla had poor delivery numbers today. Yeah. I didn't see the data. Their delivery numbers on cars have been trending up. I think the last time I heard him say they were doing 2 million cars a year, like consistently now. So I'm sure there's going to be, quarterly fluctuations with those numbers. I'm going to look into it though. I want to know for sure what that is. I mean, we could just pull up Tesla's delivery. I don't think you'll get deliveries on this website. Let's see. Or this platform. Probably just going to be a bunch of trading data. Revenue, vehicle deliveries, 336. Okay, so they are going to tell. Oh, these are news. I don't want to see the news. But maybe. All right, so let's pull this article up. Maybe this article will tell us. The car maker said it delivered 358,000 EVs in the first quarter of 2025, well below the FactSet consensus that called for 38. I don't really care about FactSet or anybody else that give expectations, right? I'm not worried about that. What I want to see is this close to what they do on average? If it's close to what they do on average, then I don't see anything bad there. Okay, so there you go, right there. On the bright side, the company did deliver 6% more cars than it did in Q1 of 2025. However, that period last year was an unusually weak quarter for Tesla, which was overhauling some production lines and dealing with protests over CEO. Yeah, exactly. So they did have a bad Q1 2026. It makes sense. There are headwinds for risk right now. All like consumer spending is going down a little bit. The more people lose jobs, the more they are going to hold back. for sure. Gas prices. I think there needs to be a battery technology expansion. Like, we need some kind of new battery tech. I think if you could get the time to fill up a battery pack par to gasoline, then you would see a massive shift from people that are using gasoline vehicles go to EVs. I think right now the majority of people that aren't buying EVs is simply because they're still quite expensive. So that new battery tech would have to be on par with lithium ion. Also, it can't be more expensive. But once the cost gets lower, which it is eventually, you're going to see battery tech expand. More people will start driving EVs. And Tesla in the US is the favorite. They look good. I like them. I think they look great. I would buy one. I'm not going to buy one right yet. I'm going to wait to where it takes me 10 minutes to get to 80%, then I'll buy one. Without a fast charger. I want to be able to do that at my house. Donut Labs, I don't think their battery is going to do it, but we are seeing more and more battery manufacturers getting closer and closer to a solid state battery. When that happens, it will happen. When that breakthrough happens, I think they'll see an increase in sales. 8.8 gigawatts of hours of energy storage products. I wanted to see, they're not going to give us an average, are they? Yeah, it looks like they're just talking about this Q1. I would love to see a chart showing vehicle sales for Tesla long term. I guess I could Google it. Let's go there. Oh my God. Oh, there you go. Fourth quarter 2025. So the number for this quarter is not going to be here. But here's an average. Look at the average on 2025. So 336, 384, 497, 418. So what they delivered this quarter is right on par with the average, right? Right on par with the average. And if you look at it in terms of yearly growth, yeah, the last 2 years, 2024, 2025, saw a dip from 2023. But that's probably going to run stagnant until we get a new technology breakout, whether it's with battery tech or so like Tesla right now, or Elon is going to start making chips, his own chips. So maybe that helps him get his costs on the car down. We'll see. Once the value of the car start to go down and battery tech starts to get better, those sales will increase. I think a lot of people want to drive electric. They just want quicker and more range and yada yada. You guys know what it all is. It's still a good investment because Tesla's got their hands in a lot of pies. I just don't know if it is here or not. I own Tesla long term. I have Tesla shares in my long term holding portfolio. It's, it's pulling back. The rest of the markets are too. This is not bearish. Like, like a bear in terms of a bear market though. These ranges are pretty consistent. Last month the range was a little bit larger, but when you start seeing ranges like this, one after another to the downside, that's when you need to back up. Wait a minute, because it could go much lower. That's a bear market. Yeah, we're not like, look at what happened to Microsoft, for instance. That's not good. All right, so oil has completely bounced, rebounded. Yeah, I don't like that, but it's volatile right now. It could still be okay. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Sailor's fine. Yep, read that. When they can't generate credit. Yep, read that. Tesla had poor delivery numbers today. I appreciate that. Still shorting oil. Huge trade today. Yeah, it was a good one. It could end up being a better one. Time will tell. It still looks okay for more downside. I would love to see this candle close below this level. If it doesn't, that will be a little bit worrisome. All right. So this is going to be a huge level moving on for Brent crude, in my opinion. If it can close under 107.40, I'll hold my short. If it doesn't, I'm going to scale out of it, move the stop to break even, because at that point, I would be too worried about it breaking back to the upside here. It's already up. Like I said, it was already up damn near 9% up here. Oil usually does not move that much. So it made perfect sense to put the short on. Unless there was some massive risk off news. Like, you know what I mean? Like Iran has bombed or hit 3 oil tankers and exploded them. Like something like that would cause oil to keep going up. But there's no boats are even trying to go through there right now. So it made sense to be more on the short side of oil than to be a buyer at the New York session open. But now that you've had that dip, that could spur on those buyers. They could show back up. But we'll see what it does. I'm looking at adding risk right now. Added Tilray this morning. Tilray. Yeah, Tilray is a weed company. It did a lot back in the early 2016, 2017. Thing went off the chain. I don't have much data, but yeah, this thing has been split so many times now. It never reached those prices. It was up at like 300. They've had a split or two. I don't like this chart, man. It just seems to me like if they were going to be something worth investing in, I mean, they grow weed, they sell weed. It's a pretty straightforward business. So what is going on? What's causing them to not be able to get their money better? I know they have to pay employees. I don't know what all overheads they do have, but I mean, right now might not be a good time to, I don't know how much fertilizer they use, but fertilizer has been skyrocketing over this straight stuff. I don't know if you guys watch the news ever, but that might affect Tilray on the near term. Fertilizer costs are going to go up. If they use fertilizer, I don't even know. But yeah, be careful with it. Every time they split it and it just goes down is not good for shareholders, period. You want them splitting in the opposite direction. You want them adding shares as prices are going up. They're doing this to keep it from being zero. It's just dilution. It's terrible. It's really, really bad. It don't look good. What am I listening to? All right. $8.4. I mean CAD. Are you talking about Canadian dollar? $8.4. I don't know what you're talking about. CAD. CAD. What is that? Is CAD a ticker symbol? No. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. CAD Swissies at 57. That's at 139. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. It's all good. Oh, are you grinding something, baby? Are you grinding something? Okay. No, you're fine. I thought it was the music. I was getting ready to change the song, but it's not even in my headphones. It's in there. Got it. No, you're good. You don't have to stop. It's they can't hear it. I can. I was wondering what is that? If that's music, I'm changing it because it is not on beat. Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird sound. So Bitcoin bounced a little bit. It's pulling back. It doesn't feel like heavy sell pressure. I mean, things, as long as you don't have any massive news today, we could see some of these things rebound nicely. Apple was pulling back after it made fresh daily highs. So I'm no longer interested in Apple for the short. I'm going to just continue to hold the oil short and see what happens with that today. I'm still short Bitcoin, but I'm probably going to close Bitcoin today if Bitcoin continues to rally. It's still closing dailies under the 21 exponential. Won't be live tomorrow. The markets are going to be closed. The 21 exponential is way up here. As long as Bitcoin is trading under that, I'm going to keep the short open. We can start closing consistent days back above this, then I'll get out of it, because then it would look a little bit more constructive, at least on the near term. The long term, it looks really bad. It's still very close to weekly support. This is the key level. Right now, March open is acting as near-term resistance. You have a new April open. That's going to be something to watch also. But the weekly support that I'm referring to is this candle's closure right there. Until you get a weekly candle close under that, Bitcoin is still holding support. It has lost trendline support, so you have broken down out of the bear flag. So if it spends too much time in here, that's going to look bad also. And then if you look at it in terms of a line chart, you also have another trend line right here. So you can see Sunday you broke down under it, you closed under it, and then Monday rallied back. That feels kind of trappy to me. So if it is a trap, then you definitely want to see those buyers show up again today here. So Bitcoin could still rally from where it is right now. This looks really good. They weren't able to defend it there, but we'll see if they can here. But like I said, you've got overhead resistance galore. April's open, March is open, and weekly and monthly VWAPs. Daily 21 at yesterday's close is 68,833. So today's close, wherever it happens at, will move this line a little bit. But yeah, I'd love to see Bitcoin be able to break out above that. As long as it's holding weekly support on the near term, that's good. But the more time it spends in this area, the more chances I would give it to break down. Dollar had a little pop. Oil had a pop. Both those things are pulling back a little bit. But they don't look terrible yet. Dollar did make a lower low, but it's just an intraday low. It's not a lower daily low. The dollar still looks very bullish on the day. The dollar right here is actually testing yesterday's high. I think. Is this a daily chart? Yeah, that's a daily chart. So right here is yesterday's high. So this daily candle looks good. It looks bullish. It looks like you had a big explosive move to the upside. So if those buyers are able to defend here today, then that short trade on the oil might not play out. If you start to see higher lows here on the very small time frame charts, like the 30-minute, you start to see higher lows, I might get involved later on. But yeah, this could be a support test, a pullback on an intraday bullish range. So Bitcoin ain't out of the woods yet, and neither is the S&P 500. If the dollar starts to break back under, what is this price? 99.85 and trending on the day, I would be more bullishly biased risk. And I would definitely be holding that oil short. But we're at a very important level here. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't need to know what's going to happen. I'm positioned good for today, no matter what happens, right? Today's going to be a profitable day. It's impossible for it not to be at this point. So today was a good day. I'm glad we got a move on oil this morning, because Tuesday was a very boring day. It was literally just sideways until the stream ended, then it broke down. But this is a good look. I want to see this hold as resistance. If it can, then my profit target will get hit and it will be a good day. With that, we're going to wrap it up. Yeah, because there really isn't much else to discuss. Now, all we got to do is let the day continue to either expand, or we'll see what happens with it. Tomorrow, the market is not open. The U.S. markets will be closed for Good Friday, but at 8:30 a.m., you will get a non-farm payrolls newsprint, and Forex and futures will still be trading. So if Forex and futures will be trading on light liquidity, if you get a nasty number, either good or bad, it doesn't matter. If the number is big, it could definitely cause more of this whipsaw type of action that we've been seeing lately on dollar and oil, obviously. I mean, you had 2 nice days of downside, and then one day you gave it all right back. That is literally the definition of whipsaw. You can see that happen tomorrow as well. So be careful on holding positions today into tomorrow morning, or at least understand that non-farm payrolls print will be a risk. And I guess I'll see you guys in the morning. Make sure you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.